the highest single death toll recorded in New York since the coronavirus outbreak began. The new urgent call for residents to stay home as officials fear the peak is still yet to come.
Plus, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy closing parks across the state as the number of deaths continue to rise across the entire tri-state area. We'll have the most up-to-date information and tell you what you need to know.
And a weather alert. Storms moving across our area tonight, and the possibility of warmer temperatures coming our way later this week. Jack Colkin will have the latest, including your exclusive 7-day forecast.
Covering New York and the entire tri-state area, Newswatch at noon is live right now.
New at noon, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says 731 people have died of the coronavirus in New York within the past 24 hours. Good afternoon, I'm Cody Taylor.
And I'm Alora Lagarde. Governor Cuomo just wrapped up his daily press briefing, where he just gave new alarming statistic. The death toll in New York State has hit its highest single-day increase since the outbreak began.
Over 5,000 people have died of the coronavirus in the state, with at least 138,000 people testing positive. The death toll continued to rise over the past few days, even with social distancing measures in place.
Cuomo did have some encouraging news today, though. The 3-day average of hospitalizations is down, with indications that the state is reaching a plateau in the total number of hospitalizations.
Despite this, New York City still virtually shut down, with streets across the city abandoned. This morning, lights still shine bright in an empty Times Square, usually bustling with people. And last night, landmarks around the state lighting up in blue to support first responders and healthcare workers as they battle the virus on the front lines.
And hospitals overflowing with patients as ambulances line up the streets, with some hospitals even setting up makeshift tents like Mount Sinai, seen here on the Upper West Side.
Topping our headlines this afternoon, field hospitals are beginning to take shape across our area, starting with the Javits Center, which was originally supposed to take on non-COVID patients and is now treating patients that have tested positive for COVID-19. And President Trump approved the request today made by Governor Cuomo, allowing for the addition of 2,500 beds to treat COVID-positive patients. Now, this comes as the state continues to see a sharp rise in positive cases. And along with the Javits Center, the Navy hospital ship Comfort will also take on COVID-positive patients. Both changes come as a way to alleviate pressure for New York City hospitals and to make facilities better equipped to treat the coronavirus. And on the Upper West Side, officials have announced that the Cathedral of St. John the Divine will be converted to a coronavirus field hospital. The cathedral is expected to hold 400 beds and is set to open next week, taking on patients from nearby Mount Sinai Hospital that has seen a large influx of COVID-positive patients.
As case numbers begin to rise in New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy announced that all state and county parks and forests were to be closed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Governor Murphy addressed that there have been group gatherings outside at parks where social distancing isn't being taken into account.
It is going to take time to reopen our state and indeed our country in a systematic and careful way to protect against a boomerang of coronavirus.
Governor Murphy stated that citizens are allowed to go outside, but must do this close to home while practicing social distancing.
Yesterday, 30 healthcare workers protested outside of Harlem Hospital in Manhattan. The nurses called on officials saying they needed better support for the healthcare workers after the hospital has experienced a lack of supplies and protective gear. The nurses said that they have run out of stretchers and are understaffed, and in reply to this, New York City Health and Hospitals denied these claims and said they are hiring more clinical staff and increasing the volume of stretchers at the hospital. Protective gear is in such high demand that nurses have been turning to Amazon and spending their own money on gear.
Because we are here to protect our lives and our patients. We need to stop this pandemic. We are enraged. I'm mad right now. We are mourning our colleagues who have died already.
This protest is one of many that have occurred throughout the city over the past 2 weeks as healthcare workers are being overworked and overwhelmed by the crisis. As deaths in New York surpass 113,000, Governor Cuomo thanked both Oregon and China for sending life-saving ventilators. China donated 1,000 ventilators to New York, and they arrived at JFK Airport on April 4th, and Oregon's Governor Kate Brown gave New York an unsolicited 140 ventilators. In a speech last week, Governor Cuomo made sure to thank China. He also told Governor Brown that New York will be returning the favor in the near future. Cuomo went on to say that 66% of hospitalized patients had been discharged and that this is not over yet. The United States is in this together, and New York can still use as much help as it can get.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson was moved to the intensive care unit as of Monday afternoon. The decision was made by the Prime Minister's medical team when his symptoms for coronavirus worsened. As of now, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab stated that they will continue Johnson's direction in regards to responding to the outbreak. On Tuesday, China reported that they have had no deaths due to the coronavirus outbreak for the first time since recording the virus 2 months ago. The National Health Commission stated that the country's death rate for COVID-19 has declined and has been in the single digits since March 19th. And as the lockdown in China ends, the government is still taking social distancing seriously and is urging all citizens to be careful as their lives start to go back to normal.
A critical Trump task force that was in charge of handling shipping and distributing goods was ordered to work from home after a worker from a partner company tested positive for COVID-19. The Supply Chain Resilience Task Force was located in the FEMA building in Washington, D.C. Its main focus was to find and allocate protective equipment and other materials that help to combat the spread of the virus. It is not clear yet what effect this will have on the task force's ability to find and distribute equipment, but they are still doing what they can from home. Now we're going to toss it over to our meteorologist Jack for a quick weather update.
Cody and Allura, we've seen temperatures today in the high 50s and lower 60s with some slight cloud coverage, but no rain has been in sight. However, we're not going to be that lucky throughout the rest of the week as we see some temperature dips and possible rainstorms coming our way. But we'll have all that and more coming up for you later on in the 7-day forecast.
Voters in Wisconsin are still heading over to the polls today, despite coronavirus concerns. We'll have the latest on the debate whether the primary should have been postponed.
And across New York City, officials are reporting an increase in hate crimes against Asian Americans. We'll have more when Newswatch at Noon returns in just a few minutes.